Hello, yoga mamas and friends. I wanted to share a video today about Ardha Chandrasana, which is also called half moon pose. So, this pose, when you've got your legs straight, your arms straight, and you're touching the ground with that bottom hand, can be really stunning and flashy. And I love it. And um, having the all four limbs straight and touching the ground is sometimes not comfortable or even appropriate for everyone. So I wanted to show that there is, like with many yoga poses, so many ways to do this one. Um, so you may need some props. And I really love my blocks. I used to pride myself on not needing blocks for certain poses, but actually, over time, I've really come to appreciate how much they can help me relax in certain poses. I'm gonna also get a folded blanket or a small cushion. Uh, I'm gonna do a variation on the knee instead of standing on one foot. So these are all things you can do. You could watch this video and practice along with me. But really, it's probably best to just watch it and get some ideas and then go to your mat or your practice space and give it a try for yourself. So to start with, I like to start in star pose because the essence of half moon pose is that expansion from your core. So you've got your core, you're breathing, and hopefully you can feel your breathing in your core. And every time I inhale, I like to feel that expansion out through my arms and down through my legs and up through my head. So that's why I start with star pose. It gives me that feeling of expanding in all those five directions. So the thing with yoga poses is that sometimes one pose looks like another one, um, but turned to orient to gravity in a different way. I'll show you what I mean in a second. But if we start in star pose, and then we kind of set up as if we're going to triangle pose, also known as Trikonasana. I'm turning the toes on this leg 90 degrees out and the toes on this leg in about 45 degrees. So I'm relaxing the shoulders, the arms are extended. I'm going to go ahead and slowly bend this knee. Maybe for you it's your right, maybe it's your left. And then I'm going to reach for the ground. Now at this point, I still have that extension out. Even if I don't lift my back leg, I get that same feeling of expansion I would in half moon pose. So if it feels appropriate to me, and it doesn't every day, to be honest, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, I'm going to lift that back leg. I'm going to stop there and just let that standing leg be bent, which may not look like your Instagram perfect, beautiful half moon pose, but hey, I'm balancing. I got that back leg up, and this bottom hand is floating for now. So that's one variation. You may very well strain that standing leg and just have that leg float, that arm floating, and see how I'm sort of shifting, and that's natural. I might fall out of it, no big deal. I come back into it with an exhale. So you just keep trying and trying. This is where the blocks might come in handy. I have these light foam blocks. So a couple ways to do it. You can just get that expansion in star pose, set up like you're going into triangle, and then same process. Bend that front knee and kind of reach for the ground with your block. As you might know, blocks have different settings. You could put it on the high or the low setting. You get 2 blocks, whatever. Notice how, first of all, I might fall out and come back in. It's part of the challenge. And also, my standing leg is not straight. I can straighten it, but hey, I don't have to. Even the top arm, I can bring it down and rest it and bring it to my top hip to make sure it doesn't collapse forward like that. Okay, give myself a break. So that's one variation, is just sort of like tipping my star pose and landing with that bottom hand, either floating on a block or touching the ground. And see how if I do touch the ground, I actually have my head lower than my hips. All right, so they may or may not feel good for you. That's one or a few variations actually. I'm just gonna shake my arms and legs out. So if you want a different kind of support for that bottom hand and you don't have a block or you just don't want to go down very far, I'm going to show you from the other side. I've got a chair. Same setup with star pose. Turning the legs out this time now or towards your chair, bending that front knee. And I might reach for the chair, or it can be a tabletop, countertop, it can be a wall or the back of the couch. And to whatever degree I can kind of come forward onto the standing leg, raise my arm up, and this back leg could be low, it can be high, and the main thing is it doesn't quite matter how low or high it is, but let's aim to have this top hip on top of the bottom hip. And if you've got a lot of tightness on this inner thigh, that might be pretty difficult, and that's okay. It's totally fine. All right, see, there's some wiggle room as to how we place our bodies in this. I might not come down very far at all. This might be my half moon pose, and it feels great. So, another way to do it. If you're feeling like you want another support but not on your hand, you can have a support with your foot to a wall. It's a really nice variation. I'm gonna turn a bit so I can actually do that. Here's my wall over here. And then I do that same star pose. And then maybe I come to the side a little and I put my foot. There's a little shimmying. It's not super graceful and fast and automatic. Get my block even. Oh, and then I've got my foot resting against the wall. I feel very stable and supported. And I still get that expansion from my core out through my arms and my legs. It's lovely. See how even if you're really well versed in this pose, it can feel so interesting and good to do it in a different way. I can even do that same variation and come into it in a different way. Let's say I have my blocks. I put them down here. I'm here now in a standing forward bend. It looks like Ardha Chandrasana if you're familiar with your Sanskrit poses. And in this way, I can just really adjust it. Like here I am, I'll bring that back foot to the wall. I might need to move back. There we go. All right, back foot is there. And then from the ground, I rise up, open up like that. And I may have to rotate the foot on the wall, as you can see. Knees can bend a little for stability. They can be straight. The main thing is that I'm breathing, relaxing anything that does not need to be engaged, like my shoulders and my face. All right. I don't have a big enough wall for the next variation, but I will just say that if you do have a big wall, I'll kind of show you now, you can actually do this whole thing against the wall with your whole back of your body against the wall. And that's a great one for keeping that top hip right on top of the bottom hip. So if you tend to collapse like that, this can be a nice tool for keeping you in one flat plane. Right, lots of variations, right? Okay, so if you're really not a fan of standing on that one leg, it can feel very destabilizing. It can actually feel a little bit stressful for some people. And you just, maybe you feel like being lower to the ground. Let's say you get like a cushion or you're on a thick rug or blanket. I have this folded yoga blanket. Let's see. My office is so small. I'm always trying to find this little space here. All right, so let's say I'm like in cat pose or tabletop. This, my left leg is going to stay down. I'm going to turn my body to the right. For now, that right foot is on the ground, right arm goes up, and then I lift my back leg. This left leg that's on the ground, the toes are tucked. I find that best for stability. Yours might not be tucked. You can play around with that. Arm can stay up or it can go down. So see, this is a little more stable of a variation, and it can go well with a sequence where you're on all fours or closer to the ground in general. And then last but not least, I will actually just show a photo of this one in the Substack post that is linked to this video, because it's actually a supine version, which means laying on my back. So if you can imagine, like, let's say you're doing a stretch, laying on your back, that's what supine means, laying on your back. The type of stretch you might do where you get a strap, you put it around the foot, and then you release that foot out to the side. And what that ends up looking like is something like this, right? Or with the strap, it's more like that. See how that's actually the same shape as half moon pose, but it's like someone just flipped me. You know what I mean? Okay, so different orientation gravity, but that's like a more restorative version where you're on your back, you're laying down, and you're still opening your arms out. You still got that one leg out to the side, but you're laying on your back. So it's really nice to see those different variations, how they get changed around when we rotate in our relationship to the ground and gravity. So I hope you enjoyed those variations. I hope you go to my Substack newsletter, Urban Yoga Mama, and I'll put the link to it in the description of this video, and just get some ideas for how you can think outside the rigid rules of alignment and modify yoga poses to suit your unique body. All right, thanks for watching.